Hi everybody, I thought I'd start with a little update on what's been happening recently. Okay, the starter and the alternators, I'll call it installed, and it's wired up. If you can see the starter there, it's hot wired, so if there's power to that gray wire down there, it'll spin. And then there's a Ford style solenoid up here. The reason for that is I didn't want live power down there constantly, and it's just easier to feed everything from up here. And the original starter button is used on this one, and because it's the starter wire, it supplies ground to the solenoid, so the solenoid's also hot wired. So this is positive, that's positive. When ground is introduced here, then the solenoid's live, feeds this gray wire. Oh boy, never mind him. I live real close to a forestry fighting fire camp, and it's like active around here quite often with them. So where was I? Yeah. So that's the only time that power is introduced here, is when a ground is introduced to there. So that's good. And then the alternator, walk around. Oh, I got the radiator and the grill put back in, or just about in. Makes it look like something happened. Okay, now don't forget we're going from 24 volt to 12 volt. So I got a little bit to do there, but this alternator came with the engine. Otherwise I would just put a one wire alternator on it, but it doesn't have that, so I'll try this one. Hopefully, if it works, right on. And again, it's standardized. let's call it that. So this number 2 wire on the alternator, that's a sensing wire for the regulator. It could have ran all the way to the solenoid over there, or to somewhere, but for my purposes this is much better. And this wire goes to let's call it the energizing wire. I think it's got a bunch of names. Basically, when that alternator starts spinning, there needs to be a little bit of current introduced to here initially, just to energize the alternator. So that's usually done with a live power off the ignition, running straight to a light, which we know is the alternator light or the idiot light. And the power that's left after that goes to here. At that point, as soon as that alternator is energized, it quits becoming a ground and it doesn't need it. So that's why the light goes out. Okay. This is the temperature sender. I haven't got gauges yet, so I'm not real sure if I'm going mechanical or electric like this is. And the other recent development was the throttle cable. Linkage was just too much infrastructure. So this cable's off a weed eater or something. I went to the place in town that sells weed eaters and lawnmowers, and it was long enough. Well, it was way too long. I had cut it practically in half, but it had a fairly stout wire on it. So it's just wrapped around here and clamped, and then these clamps are just there to keep it tidy, right? And this is 1 inch by I don't know, 1/8 or something, a little bigger than an 1/8, bent like that is to support it. I thought I'd have to cross support it, but it's it's sturdy. I mean, good grief. And then that little brackets there just keep the cable orientated so it's in alignment with the Feckle fork down below. There, I'll take you underneath and show you what that's about. Well, I can kind of see it. There. I got a double nut that or put a mylar nut on the left and trim those two little bolts on the right there, or not. So that's just the existing throttle there. I didn't want to change anything in case this truck ever goes back. It's likely I won't own it forever, and the next fella might have different ideas, or maybe even want to put the original engine back in it. So there's no hacking or nothing going on with the truck. So what isn't being used is just being wrapped up and tucked away. That way, even the, oh, I should show you that. You see that? That used to be the front motor mount, but it's also the rad support, so it had to stay. So that's intact. Everything about it is original. And then that mount there, that can come out in 4 bolts, 5. I think that's about it for recent developments. Walk around this side again. Get the sun to the back. I'm just working on securing the radiator and then adapting the hoses. After that, well, there's many things that need to happen, but that's where we're at now. So thank you very much. Oh, could you do me a favor and hit the like button if you found any part of this useful? I'd appreciate it. Thanks again. Bye.